Relax. There's one in every bunch. It's going to be a fun night. I would ask that first off you'd stand for the invocation and Pledge of Allegiance. I want to welcome our two cadets from Carl Albert High School, Candace Hall, who's a sophomore at Carl Albert. She plans to join the United States Air Force when she graduates. And Nathan Fresco, who is a junior and plans to attend the University of Oklahoma, much to the demise of Mr. Sullivan, and join the Air Force after that. So Mr. Sullivan, would you step forward and lead us in the prayer? And also, there's two people that I would like for you to remember in your prayers tonight. One's a Simon Gracie. She's a Carl Albert student who collapsed at school today. Apparently she's going to be okay, but please keep her in your prayers. And also a longtime Midwest City resident, Bobby Holland. It's an unmentioned prayer request, but please keep her in your prayers and thoughts. Mr. Sullivan, lead us in the invocation.
Say the prayer and then we'll have a pledge. Would you bow with me, please? Gracious Lord, we come before your throne with humble hearts tonight, Father, and we're blessed people, and Father, we're thankful 2020 is over, Lord, and we just ask that we begin this new year, 2021, on a positive note tonight, and we thank you for this council and the time and effort that they put in and the sacrifices that they make. Father, I ask your wisdom be upon them tonight as they make these decisions that are before them. And Father, we ask that your peace and discernment be upon them, Father. Father, we have a lot of people in this city and in this land, this world, that are hurting from a virus that has attacked us. And Father, we ask that you give healing and that you give the vaccine works, and that you deliver us from this deadly disease, Father. Father, I'd ask you to be with Simon and Bobby and Fran Gillis and all of those who are suffering from this virus, and those who have suffering from illness and have lost loved ones as a result as well. Father, we thank you so much for men and women who are guaranteeing our freedoms all over the world tonight as we speak. Give them protection. We thank you so much, Lord, for your Son, Jesus. Father, thank you for being willing to give up your Son on our behalf. We don't deserve that. We don't know how to say thank you for that. But we thank you for that sacrifice and the grace that you bestowed upon us. We ask all of these favors in your Son's holy name. Amen.
Amen.
Attention. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Right. Face. Forward. March.
Thank you. You can be seated. Thank you guys for being here tonight. Also, I would like to welcome one service member that's here tonight visiting, Cave Strecker. He's serving us in the United States Coast Guard, and he's visiting here. He's going to be here with his dad receiving an award. So thanks for being here, and thanks for your service. Community-related announcements, Mr. Lyon.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to start with our sales tax check we got late Friday. So this is the first half of our Christmas season. For the month of January, which, like I said, takes in part of the Christmas season, we were up 6.9% year over year. Sales and use tax, $262,676, 146 in sales, and 117,000 in use tax. So a very good month versus previous year over year. For the month, we're up 6.93%, and for the year, 9.88%. And what we based our budget projection on, we are up $691,000 for the month, about $5.5 million for the year. So, once again, very thankful to the citizens of Midwest City in eastern Oklahoma County who shop in Midwest City, and this is the money that makes this city operate, and 62% of which goes to police and fire and various other areas in the city, and along with our general fund. So it's a very good monthly report. Second, staff is busy preparing applications for the Midwest City Memorial Hospital Authority's second round of Board of Grantor grant applications. We had a joint meeting last week, and staff has been busy, primarily led by Robert Coleman, and I think Jill is helping in the editing and working with him on that project, so good job to both of them. We expect to open the process early next week with a deadline arriving in late February. Applications will be received by the Board of Grantors in March and make recommendations back to the Hospital Authority, who will finalize the awards shortly thereafter. We expect to mail checks sometime in April. Priority will be given to the Midwest City-based small businesses and nonprofit organizations that have been negatively, am I saying that word right?
You know.
Affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. So for more information, please frequently check the city's website. And finally, trash and recycling will run as normally scheduled on Martin Luther King Day. That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Ms. E., do you have anything? Does anybody on the dais have anything?
I do.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mayor. We have the Midwest City Dr. Martin Luther King Prayer Breakfast. It will be broadcast by radio, 12:20 a.m. Because of the pandemic, we decided it's safer for everyone to stay home and not have the event as usual at the Sheraton Reeves Center. But it's going to be broadcast, and the mayor will be speaking, and even our city manager. So tune in on the 18th around 8:30 and 9 a.m. and it may broadcast all day, and you'll hear Midwest City Dr. Martin Luther King prayer breakfast broadcast. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine. Okay, we have a number of presentations to do this evening. First off, could I ask Oklahoma Beautiful folks to come on down? We have a presentation to give to several folks on our staff.
Okay. Is this one? This one's working. Okay. Well, I'm Jeanette Nance with Keep Oklahoma Beautiful. Thank you, Mayor and Council, for letting us be here this evening. We are actually representing, or for the first time presenting the actual award from our virtual event on November 20th. This award is given for a law enforcement program that succeeds in a project that meets our mission. And this is presented to the City of Midwest City Police Department for the North Oaks Revitalization Project. So we actually had a wonderful video story on our virtual awards that was narrated by your own Paul Streets. But it was such a wonderful project. Our judges and our board of directors felt like we really wanted to honor them. We're actually so sorry that they couldn't come to the actual event. It's usually a very huge event, so we're glad to have the opportunity to do it tonight, and thank you for letting us have that opportunity. And this is my board member, Monty Smith. She is the ODOT representative on our board of directors. So thank you for letting us be here.
Thank you
So
all.
we want you all to have this. And there is your winner's certificate.
Come on. We can squeeze in.
I'm smiling.
Promise. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Congratulations.
thank you, and I'll just add a few comments to that if I may. You know, the Northos project, we just finished up the fourth phase of that this last year, and it was a truly collaborative effort amongst many departments. That's why so many people are up here. But probably should have had Stroh up here with his folks that helped clean up the neighborhood. But those of you who have seen some of the posters around here, we cut Part 1 crimes, which are the violent crimes, by 80%. And then also reduced a lot of the traffic accidents that were coming out of North Oaks, which is right across the street from the slide down here at the park. And so it was nice to work with the different departments to bring this and be awarded for it. So thank you.
Yeah, I think it works. Can you hear me now? Would Eric Love's family come down and join us? How are you?
We brought the whole plan.
Okay, well, thank you guys for being here tonight and allowing us to honor Eric. Let me give you a little background. Eric Love started working for the city of Midwest City in 1979. He worked in various areas as a dispatcher, jailer, the water department. I knew Eric from when I hired on in 1983. Eric was a special individual. He was one of the most godly men I've ever met. He always had a smile on his face, always loved to come to work, and the accolades just go on and on. And tragically, several weeks ago, which just shocked me because of his physical condition, Eric passed away due to a heart attack. And a huge loss to our city family, because we are family, and just a huge loss in general in his church and everybody that knew him. This is a very small offering that we can do for Eric, but we wanted to do it. So, whereas Mr. Eric Love began his career in Midwest City in 1979 as a service porter during his time with the city. He served as dispatcher, jailer, communications specialist, and meter reader. Whereas over the years, Eric accumulated numerous letters of thanks and commendations for his superior help, his exceptional patience during the crisis, his kindness, his vital assistance that led police to arrest and recovery of stolen goods and missing persons. Whereas Eric went above and beyond to ensure the excellent customer service exhibiting patience and a good attitude towards citizens regardless. Whereas Eric accepted and performed new and additional assignments without any issues at high standards and great work ethic, and he worked well with other group members in creating an effective team. He was known for being professional and courteous when dealing with the public. He enjoyed new challenges and helping to figure out vital solutions, and was an asset to the city. And a great loss, I might add. Therefore, I, Matt Dukes, Mayor of Midwest City, do hereby proclaim January 13th as Eric Love Day in the city of Midwest City, and do hereby urge all citizens of Midwest City to show Eric Love's family and friends the appreciation he deserved for his positive leadership and contributions to the city of Midwest City. Thank you for being here.
from the city manager's office. Are you still on?
It's on, or it was. There it is.
From the city manager's office, Eric had spent 35 years of service with the city of Midwest City, which is a good part of his life. And Eric was in multiple positions, and I can tell you, just being the old HR director, everybody that ever lost Eric in a department that he went to another department were very sad, because Eric had a heart of gold. He was an excellent employee. You couldn't ask for a better employee for our city. And we're still in shock. I'm personally still in shock for what happened, but we wanted to give you his service award tonight for 35 years of service. So thank you guys for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Lieutenant Strecker. You started 10 years after I did?
Yeah, can you imagine that?
This is Ron Strecker, ladies and gentlemen. He's a Midwest City police officer, but a dad and a husband and just an all-around good guy. Unfortunately, he's retiring. I almost called you a wife.
You almost did. I heard that. We're just gonna fight afterwards.
And again, anytime we lose the expertise, Ron rode motorcycles. You may have received a ticket from him at some point in time, but he was one of our lead fatality accident investigators and did a wonderful job at investigating accidents and doing the things he needed to do. And unfortunately, he is going to retire, and we're losing a great deal of experience. But whereas Lieutenant Ron Strecker began his career in Midwest City in October of 1994 as a police officer and retiring in January of 2021 after 26 years of great service. Whereas Lieutenant Strecker is known and respected for his calm professionalism, attention to detail, excellence in the motor officer programs, where he exceeded expectations, and for portraying a positive attitude during difficult situations. Whereas he was an investigator for several years to include several major cases, including homicides, and volunteered to assist visiting federal agencies when needed. Whereas he was instrumental in Midwest City Citizens Police Academy as a teacher, coordinator, and with the LEDT, or Law Enforcement Defensive Driving Program. He was a veteran law enforcement training instructor in providing training not only to our own officers, but to those from municipalities and sheriff's office, through together with CLEAT and approved training classes to help Midwest City, make Midwest City and its neighbors a safer place to live and work and play. Whereas Lieutenant Strecker has received numerous commendations for his genuine and profound desire to help others and to serve in a superior manner. So therefore, I, Matt Dukes, Mayor of Midwest City, do hereby proclaim January 15th, 2021 as Lieutenant Ron Strecker Day. There's not a check with that. In the city of Midwest City, and you hereby urge all citizens of the city of Midwest City to show Lieutenant Strecker the appreciation he deserves, protecting and serving the citizens of Midwest City.
Thanks, sir.
We got to do the party pit.
Thank you.
Oh,
Yep, gotta do this. So real quick, this is from the city for his service and special recognition of Ron Strecker for loyal and dedicated service to the citizens of the city of Midwest City, October 27th, 1994 through January 4th, 2021.
Thank you.
Appreciate your service, and
Thank you.
I appreciate you as a person. just from my years of dealing with you in the police department, you always did the right thing.
Well, that's what it meant to me, so.
And you know some of the things I'm talking
Oh,
about,
yeah.
that you did the
Yeah.
right thing, and I
All right,
appreciate it.
thank you.
Okay, one more. Mr. Williams. This is a hard one too, man. This is Doug Williams, can do anything, anywhere in the city, anytime, right?
Yeah, not anymore.
He too punched out on us, but Doug's been a vital part of our city. He was the go-to guy for anybody has seen the Veterans Day Parade or any of the events that we put on down in Regional Park. This is the guy that led the way to get everything done. And all you had to do, anything anybody needed to do, the response was, call Doug. And it got done. So, Doug, although we're sad to see you go, we do wish you the best of luck in whatever you're going to do, because you're going to do well. So, whereas Mr. Doug Williams began his career with the City of Midwest City in August 2009 as street supervisor and resigned in October 2020. And whereas Doug has been consistently steadfast supervisor for maintaining high expectations, even where there was a lack of manpower or equipment, and all without complaint. Whereas over the years, Doug has been vital in ensuring the quality of life in Midwest City, is known for adding to and upkeeping our streets, parks, facilities, drainage facilities, refusing to compromise the quality of customer service delivered to the residents. And whereas Doug also volunteered his time and chose to help others in the community, such as helping coordinate school, supply drive, and distribution. Whereas Doug always strove to ensure that his department personnel had fun on the job and while ensuring the highest level of professionalism. So therefore, I, Matt Dukes, Mayor of Midwest City, do hereby proclaim January 12th, today, we're a little bit late, as 2021 as Doug Williams Day in the City of Midwest City, and do hereby proclaim, or hereby urge all citizens of the City of Midwest City to show Doug the appreciation he deserves for his leadership and contributions to the residents of Midwest City. Congratulations, Doug.
Thank you.
You gotta get a party cake here. All right, man. Good luck. We'll see.
I'll be around.
I will have to reiterate that we are lucky in the City of Midwest City to have the quality employees that we do have. There's 100 years of service that just walked out that door and experience, but we strive to continue to recruit people and get people in the right positions. So just when you see them, thank them for their service to our community. We'll move on to our consent agenda tonight. These items are placed on the consent agenda so the council, by unanimous consent, can approve routine agenda items by one motion. If any item proposed does not meet with the approval of all council or members of the audience which discussed an item, it will be heard or removed and heard in regular order. Chair to entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. We move into discussion items. Discussion item number 1, no actions required on this. Okay, no sweat. So, discussion item number 1 is no action required on that. Move into discussion item number 2. Mr. Lyon.
Discussion item number 2, PC 2058, public hearing with discussion and consideration of an ordinance to redistrict from SPUD, Simplified Plan Unit Development governed by I-1 Light Industrial District to amended SPUD for the property described as a part of the southeast quarter of Section 29, Township 12 North, Range 2 West, located at 1100 North Sooner Road. This item was tabled from the December 8th, 2020 meeting. Mr. Harless.
Thank you, Mr. Lyon. This property was annexed into the city of Midwest City in the summer of 2018. The property was designated to be zoned I-1 Light Industrial to accommodate the existing use of automotive equipment, heavy gasoline sales, and off-premise advertising. In March of 2019, the property was rezoned to Simplified Plan Unit Development, allowing all I-1 uses as well as the use of alcohol beverage retail sales. The applicant contacted staff in September about remodeling a portion of the existing structure for the use of medical marijuana dispensary. The use of a dispensary is not permitted in I-1 Light Industrial District, so the applicant is requesting a special development regulation to amend the SPUD to allow for the dispensary, along with the already approved I-1 uses and the use of alcohol beverage retail sales. Planning Commission recommended approval, and action is at the discretion of the council. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
This is a public hearing. Does anyone have in the audience have anything to say about this particular item? Is the applicant in the audience? Come forward, sir. Could you state your name and address for the record, please?
Yes, sir. My name is Anuj Shrestha. The address we're dealing with right now is 1101 North Sooner Road, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, 73117.
Okay. On your request, exactly what are you trying to accomplish?
The place, I just took it over back in November 6th, 2020. It already has it's a gas station with a deli. We have a liquor store. And I just wanted to add, because we got a little storage area back there, I just wanted to modify it and I put a dispensary, medical, the marijuana dispensary. Just wanted to use this spot back there.
Does any members of the council have any questions of the applicant?
Would there be separate entrance for this from the liquor store and every other?
Yes, sir. Because the liquor store,
Well, I'm sorry.
the liquor store has a different door for the entrance. You cannot get inside from anywhere besides the main entrance. Same with the gas station, and it's going to be same exactly like the liquor store. It's going to have the main entrance in the front, and that's it.
Is this for the, on Sooner Road, where they used to have like a garage door? Is it on that side?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Any further questions? Hearing none, the chair entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Thank you for being here, and it's been approved.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Move into discussion item number 3, Mr. Lyon.
PC 2059, public hearing with discussion and consideration of an ordinance to redistrict from C3 Community Commercial to an SPUD, Simplified Plan Unit Development governed by the C4 General Commercial, subject to staff comments for the properties described as lots 1 and 2 of Block A of Marydale Acres, addition addressed as 1101 and 1107 North Post Road. Mr. Harless.
Thanks, Mr. Lyon. And this application is at the 10th and the northwest corner of the 10th and Post. The request is to rezone the properties from C3 Community Commercial to a SPUD governed by C4 with the special development regulations to exclude some C4 uses. Staff met with the applicant in September of 2020 to discuss rezoning the area. A request to allow for commercial marijuana growth, light processing, and commercial uses. So that means that they're wanting to do potentially all of those items in this proposal. If the property were to use heavy processing in the future, a zoning amendment would be required. The lots do not currently have access to city sewer. A public sewer extension is required prior to building permits. Planning Commission recommended approval, and action is at the discretion of this council. Be glad to answer any questions if you have any.
Billy, is this on the same side as the church?
It is. It's just east of the church.
Is the applicant here?
I believe they are.
And because.
Yes, ma'am.
Isn't this like, this in a community, residential? A lot of residential in this community.
There are, and in your packet, you'll page. In the future land use map or the zoning map, I don't have page numbers on my deal. You will see the surrounding property owners of the surrounding properties are zoned for yellow, with the churches in the special use permit, SUP. But then across the street is the convenience sales.
Yeah. Across the street
Councilwoman.
it's like a store, or is it, you have a little store on the corner and then,
That would be across the street, yes, ma'am.
but it's houses all up and down there.
I know that you when we had talked earlier, you had some questions about the ventilation, and the applicant, should this move forward, they would be willing to commit to putting in special filters to help with the ventilation system, to reduce the amount of, or eliminate the amount of smell from the products.
It's not that far from the church, is it not?
No, it's just a couple of, I don't know, maybe
Houses?
100 feet, something like that, from the church.
Okay, could the applicant step to the podium? And ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing. Does anyone else have any issues about this particular item? Sir, could you state your name and address for the record, please?
My name is Arnold Sefcik, 5 Cypress Court, Shrubbery Club, Texas, 76262.
Okay, does anyone on the council have any questions of the applicant?
What are you trying to put in there, a processing, or?
Essentially a grow and a processing facility. We've actually gone through and done renderings of drawings of what we've actually anticipate on building of the property. I'm not sure if you have those in front.
Yeah, we do.
They're included towards the end of the packet.
They're in there.
Yeah, that's our development plan of the corner.
So are the other buildings that you're proposing to build, are they all going to be used by the grow?
So I own a construction company, and we're vendors for all of the major insurance companies. The front building that actually abates post right there on the corner would be our building that we would use which it would be a construction company, and then the back 2 buildings would be the grow facility.
I just want to know how long was the community notified and given a chance to really know about what's going on there?
It's been 90 days, I believe.
So we send out notifications, as we do for, all of our applications, and it's 30 days for planning commission, and then additional days for what would be the council. We've had, I think, 1 call asking about it, but we've not had a lot of phone calls or anything for it.
And I understand your concern with the smell and the odor and all that. I mean, and what we do is construction. So, I mean, construction is a science now, and essentially the way we've got our development plan is we've got a building within a building, and we've got carbon filters within inside the infrastructure that vent out into the main structure of the building. And then you'll have fresh air returns that cycle through fresh air within the building, but all of that is also cycled out in return with carbon filters, and everything is, I mean, everything's hydro, there's no soil that's disposed of, there's no dirty pots, none of that stuff is what we do.
Are you aware of all of the residential, all the houses in that area? I mean,
Yes,
a
ma'am.
house, if I'm understanding, a house just right behind, is that area cleaned off? It's been cleaned off, right? Cleaned out? I see, because if I'm correct, it's across the street from that convenience store,
Yeah,
correct?
and there's another metal building facility that's commercial right behind it on the north
Yes,
side.
but not in this content. I think about the church, how close it is to a church, you know, and the residents, it just does not seem the proper place for a manufacturing of marijuana. That's why I was concerned about the residents, have they had a chance to really acknowledge it? Because
Does anyone else have any questions of the applicant? So the current building, from what I understand, the current building that's there right now, that's gonna house your construction company, that's correct?
That would be the building on the south side, the far south side of the corner. Everything that we're proposing is all new construction. The third lot is a different entity that's not involved with us, but it's been there for 20, 30 years, I believe.
All right.
Yeah, it's been there for a long time. And this has been vacant since then.
Well, if no one in the audience has any questions, and no one in the council has any further questions, the chair to entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
I'm against it. It's too many.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Do I have a second? Do I have a second? Motion dies without a second. You're gonna have to re-engage. I'm sorry, the motion failed.
Okay.
Due to the lack of a second.
Let me ask you a question. Is there anything else we could do that would make you feel more comfortable within the situation?
I just think, for what you're trying to do, grow and then have a dispensary right in this is it's like a community. I mean, I can see a store, you know, that's fine.
Mhm.
But these people, you know, you say, I hear that all the time about vents and you can't smell it, but I understand just right now, there's a problem on 23rd with the ventilation, and it's just marijuana smell just surfacing all off in there. And this is a community and resident area that I'm concerned about. And it's so close to a church. I think that's just so improper, just very inappropriate, excuse me, inappropriate for a dispensary to be so close to an area of residential church.
So then let me ask you a question. So if the dispensary aspect of the proposal was pulled off the table, and other than that, it's nothing different than any other commercial
You know,
building that's outside there?
Sir, you know, I would think that, me personally, I think it should have been a community should have been involved in the process, and like a meeting or something, and
I
for
thought
them
that's
to
what we were here
decide.
for.
That is just so close to so many residents. I
Yeah.
I went through there, and all I saw was homes all off in there.
And a lot of vacant lots, and there's a lot of
Vacant
vacancy.
lots is, you know.
I mean, just south of there's a lot of development that could go
A lot
through
of
the area.
development, but not for something such as that. I think there needs to be something.
Economically, it's hard to justify developing the amount of infrastructure that has to be put on that site, from drainage, from engineering. There's a lot that has to go along there, and if you can't justify it from an economic situation, then it gets tabled. It doesn't, and then those two lots sit there for the next 20 years and don't get developed.
Well,
Billy, let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
Billy, he asked us a question. If, let's say he wanted to bring this back and take the dispensary out, he just wanted to have 3 buildings and it didn't involve a dispensary. can you explain to him the process? It doesn't need to necessarily be in front of us, but I think that's a question that we need to address with him. And something that Christine, it's her ward, and she hasn't brought it up, but I did the motion to get a motion, but there's a group care facility just north of there too. So, like I said, I think if you could talk to him maybe offline, if he wants to resubmit it, take the dispensary out, then go from there.
Yeah, since it hasn't been denied, and Ms. Poole, you may be able to clarify this, but since it hasn't been denied, it just died, that he would be able to bring that back as soon as we'd be able to republish it and stuff and amend the application and move forward at that point. And oftentimes when we have something that may be controversial to the neighborhood, before that's heard again, you could have a meeting with the surrounding neighborhood, go knock on doors, and a staff member would help you host a meeting with the neighborhood, maybe even at the church, but along those lines, and maybe that would make you a little more comfortable with the application.
I would rather that the neighborhood definitely be informed and understand exactly what is going on and what someone is trying to build there, right there in their community. Just homes everywhere, church, homes. It's just, I think it's unfair to the community to have something put there. And there's children, it's so much going on there. I mean,
Is it
homes, and it just don't seem a place for a dispensary to be sitting right there. I passed by there and I just couldn't imagine having a growing process of such, and then dispensary, then what else? The processing, that's a lot going on. We need to get with the community.
Yeah, I think it's a good suggestion by Billy if we want to move forward. Councilman Bowen, you had a
Right,
comment.
and my ward is right across the street from that. And I can tell you that church puts on a lot of events with kids there. And it's always full and it's always packed. Within that neighborhood area, you do have a lot of homes down Post Road and across from Post Road. You also have, like you said, vacancies there. Because you're on the corner that used to be a store there, a meat packing plant right on the corner from the cement company that's there. So I would get with the community there and have a town hall meeting with them and see what their outcome is going to be. The church would be a good place to start.
Okay.
Okay.
And I'm willing to. And I understand that if it is the dispensary side that completely throws everything out, outside of the dispensary side, it's an unmarked, no-name building that is no different than a plumbing house where they manufacture plumbing supplies. There is no difference. I mean, with the technology and being able to manage everything within it, there is no difference, and it's an unmarked building in the location.
I understand how you may feel, but I have to understand how the community would feel if something just uprise and they not really be fully aware of it. And then the children and it's just so much going on in the church.
And I understand that. And I understand. And that was that point of
that if you go and talk with the pastor there, you have a town hall meeting, I'll be there, and I'm sure, Councilwoman Barr, she would want to be there too, Bowman. She would want to be there also. I'm sorry. But she would want to be there also because this connects with her ward also. So they may have some, feelings about
I have
it.
a question though.
Yes,
just
ma'am.
To follow up what you just said. So first I understood your ask was, okay, if you eliminated every other proposed use that you put forward except for your construction company, if the council would be comfortable.
No, it doesn't. I mean, the only way to justify it economically is to be able to grow there. There's no, I mean, I can't put a construction company there that, the money that it takes to develop that corner like it should be developed, like what we proposed, you can't get there. I own a construction company and I'm building it. And there's no way for me to put it down there and make economic sense. Why would I go there when I could go somewhere else? It just doesn't make sense.
I'm just asking for
Yeah, for sure. No,
clarification,
it truly.
Because
it-
what
so-
you said a while ago led me to, you still wanted to use it as a grow space and a processing plant and a construction company, just not a dispensary.
That is correct. And that essentially alleviates some of the perception within the neighborhood of, all right, hey, so we don't have a dispensary in our neighborhood. And I get that. I understand that solely. And I'm willing to do it the other way. But if I mean, if I can't have the grow, then there's no need to.
Well, I think if you start with the church. And,
For sure.
you know, and talk to them, and you're gonna have a town hall meeting. I would definitely be there, because I'm sure there would be, you know, people who have some concerns. They probably don't realize what's about to happen. A lot of people don't understand sometimes when things like this uprise until it has happened, and then they'll wonder, who allows such? And I think that, for on my perception, it's not something I can really see that I would want around me having a home somewhere up in there. It's just too close. But talk to the church.
Okay,
And have a
I'll do
town hall
so.
meeting, and
For sure.
we'll just go from there.
Okay. Well, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And thanks for being open-minded.
Thank you, thanks for being here tonight.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, item number 6, Mr. Lyon.
That's for item 4, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right,
On 4?
yeah. PC,
Where am I screwed up here?
PC 2062, public hearing with discussion and consideration of an ordinance to redistrict from C3 Community Commercial to C4 General Commercial, and a resolution to amend the comprehensive plan from OR Office Retail to COMM Commercial for the property described as parts of Southwest Quarter, Section 34, Township 12, North Range 2 West, and addressed as 422 North Air Depot Boulevard. Mr. Harless.
Thank you, Mr. Line. This is a request to rezone the property from C3 Community Commercial to C4 General Commercial. An auto mechanic shop is currently being operated at this location. The owner met with staff and stated that they would like to operate a car sales lot on the property. As the property is zoned C3, which only allows limited outdoor storage and display, the applicant is making this application to rezone the property to C4, which does allow the use of car sales and outdoor display. No additional or modifications to the existing structure are requested with this application. Planning Commission did deny this request, and the action is at the discretion of the council. I did send out an email earlier today, or I guess Jill sent out an email updating on some inspections that the fire department and code enforcement did to show that they cleaned up a lot of the concerns that the Planning Commission had about the application. So anyway, I'll be glad to answer any questions if you have them.
This is a public hearing. Does anyone in the audience have any questions about this particular issue? Ed? Go ahead and come forward. And state your name and address for the record, sir.
Yeah, my name is Abdul Karim Asalfi, 1328 Delview, Del City, Oklahoma.
Okay, sir, I'm personally familiar with this, and
Yes.
I'm not exactly thrilled with the fact that it's taken us probably 6 years to get you cleaned up over there.
No.
There's been hold on.
Sorry.
I've been personally involved in several issues over there, and now all of a sudden, we get you to clean up. I know there's been numerous code enforcement violations of that particular property. At one time, it was just basically a junkyard. So what reassurance can you give us? I mean, the Planning Commission's already denied you, but what reassurance are you going to be able to give the city of Midwest City that we're not dealing with another junkyard over there in 5 years?
Actually, I want to clear something first. I just bought the building in this November, and I would like to change it to car lot because we don't want to deal with the mechanic anymore. Before, it was rented to Pit Stop Car Care, which is, I wasn't the owner. I don't have any power on that building. And now we are a new owner. We try to push all that far away. That's why we tried to deal with the city this past month. Everything shut down. We already pushed Pit Stop out of the picture, and we step in. That's the first thing. Second thing, I came to this building actually in 2016, and I tried to buy it, but for some reason I couldn't. But one one of the builder partner, he bought the place and he gave me a chance to fix it up. This is how the building was, in 2016. This is that was my plan to do everything on. This is after, but I have to step aside, and I went to Heidelberg to work there for the past 3 years. So now I get a chance to buy the building by myself. No more drama with anybody. We get a loan from the bank, so that's what I try to do. So no more mechanic, no more rent to anybody else. I try just to do a car lot, easy and simple.
How many cars are you anticipating selling through this business?
You mean willing to sell?
Inventory.
Yeah,
Like, how
probably
many
it's gonna be
are planning to
15 cars.
So you're planning to keep 15 cars on that site, correct?
Yes, ma'am. Plus
And-
the backyard, we already called the construction company. They will come and do the concrete in the backyard for the drive-through, for any fire department clearance, for the trash clearance, and all that.
But as I understand it from what was contained in our information, from the plan review comments, it says that at this time, there are no proposed additions or alterations to the existing structure. If alterations are to be proposed in the future, a building permit is required, and all alterations must meet all requirements of municipal code. That plan that you just showed us in terms of, the one was 2016 and the one is more recent now. So do you plan on making any modifications to that building other than just adding additional cement onto the grassy areas that you've just?
Yeah,
talked
that's
about?
it.
That's all you're going to do with it?
Yes, because the car lot, it doesn't require any building restructure or any thing, just instead of office and detail area, that's it.
So, Mr. Stroh, I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but can I ask you a question, sir?
Sure.
Yes,
Excuse me, sorry. Your report that you included on this agenda item speaks about the issue of problems with the previous owner and their ability to have vehicles on there, that they were having constantly parking on what was a grass lot on the east side to include up the hill. They've also had issues with trash and debris. The property does not have an area to park vehicles that are for sale, as they're always over their allowable storage now. Could you compare for us, maybe, if you can, from a recollection of how many vehicles were on there previously against how many this gentleman has just proposed to put on there, and kind of if that changes in any way your comments?
Absolutely. So the original proposal, when it went to the Planning Commission, was in its old state. This gentleman has cleaned it up. In its old state, it had probably 34, 35 cars in multiple disarray, disassembly, parked everywhere, parts everywhere. Just between myself and the fire marshal, we did not want any additional outside storage allowed because of the problems with both outside storage from an inoperative vehicle side and then from fire code. We have done the inspection as late as, I believe, last Tuesday. Yes. The gentleman had 2 trailers loaded with debris on Tuesday when we were there. When we went back Tuesday evening, they were gone. So he did do exactly what the code officer told him he had to finish doing. The fire marshal, the fire chief's here, but the fire marshal went as well. And the fire marshal's argument is that he can now rezone it, but he will have to come into proper compliance before he can get his CO to do anything. And one of those things is the concrete that he mentioned for the back for a proper turn. He has cleaned it up. There is still going to be some issues if he has outside storage and things that the chief could speak on better. But if from our side, it hasn't looked that good in at least 5 years, as the mayor said earlier. And like I said, this gentleman wasn't the owner operator of what was there before. It was an operator, not the owner before, that was the problem.
So you have experience eyes on site? I mean,
Correct.
I've seen the imagery, and I've driven past it, I don't know how many times, but the number of cars that he is estimating putting on the lot for inventory with the additional concreted area that he's proposed.
That is one of the concerns by the fire marshal because of making sure that they keep a fire lane. And so with that, that's going to limit his ability because the The existing auto wash bays, if you will, have been closed in with garage doors. And so therefore, you're not going to be able to park display inside of a garage. Keeping the fire lane open as a complete U will keep it to where he's limited to how many cars he can put on the property for storage.
So is 15 seem like a reasonable number, or does that seem like a stretch?
It's not my business, so how he stores it's his call, but he's going to have to store them for the most part in the open bays. It's not going to be allowed to be out in the open, and maybe that's his plan because it'll also protect from weather. I mean, I don't know, but it's going to be about that number, otherwise he's going to be blocking the fire lane.
I gotcha. Thank you. I'm sorry to put you on the
Chief, did
spot.
I miss anything?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, does anybody have any more questions of the applicant?
One issue I have is that, you know, it's really good that this property owner has made some efforts to clean it up, but it took going to the planning commission and getting it turned down, in my opinion, to get it cleaned up. And I don't really want to, in my opinion, I think all that should have been done ahead of time, and that would have been more convincing to me that he was actually intending on keeping it a properly run business if he'd have gone in and cleaned it up ahead of time, because it seems to me that the reason it was cleaned up is because it got turned down, and oh no, I got to get it cleaned up or it'll never get passed. And that's my concern, is that, you know, let's, if he wants to do it, you know, I think it would be, if it was, I have an issue with whether it's going to stay that way and whether it's going to be kept in compliance, and if this is going to be another issue that we're dealing with on a regular basis. And I just have real concerns about that because of the time. It would have convinced me a whole lot more if he'd have done it prior to it being turned down.
I have one follow-up question
Can I
too.
just clear that, if you don't mind? For the record, I just came back 2 weeks ago. I was in Egypt for a month and a half. Even the last meeting, I wasn't here. That's why we didn't get a chance to do what we have to do.
Go ahead, ma'am.
I just wanted to ask, because this is in Councilman Reed's ward, if Councilman Reed spoke to anybody about this, and if he was noted to be of an opinion one way or another about this agenda item. If he had concerns about it.
Am I allowed to answer that question?
If you directly spoke to him,
Yes, I did.
yeah, I mean, as long as you're not trying to serve as a proxy for his vote.
No, if I'm allowed to tell you what he said, his quote unquote, I don't want it to be a car lot, end of quote.
Well, I think that answers your question. So, Chair would entertain a motion that we follow the Planning Commission's recommendation and deny this claim.
Motion to deny?
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carried. Sir, you abstain?
Anything I can do?
Your request has been denied.
Anything
You're going
I
to have to come back through the Planning Council, Commission. Mr. Harless can guide you through that process.
Okay.
Our next item, item number 5, Mr. Lyon.
PC 2063, public hearing with discussion, consideration of an ordinance to redistrict from RHD High Density Residential to RMH2 Manufactured Home Park for the property described as a part of Southwest Quarter of Section 7, Township 11 North, Range 1 West, and addressed as 10301 Southeast 29th Street. Billy?
Thanks again, Mr. Lyon. This application is just east of Post Road on 29th Street, contains approximately 28 acres. This area requests to rezone a property from RHD Residential High Density to RMH2 Manufactured Home Park. The area of request currently serves as a Parkway Manufactured Home Community. The lot has been operating as, excuse me, the lot has been operating as a legal non-conforming use. The owner met with staff and stated that he would like to expand the the manufactured home park to allow for additional 18 lots. In order to expand the existing non-conforming use, the zoning for the entire parcel must come into compliance. Therefore, the applicant is requesting to rezone the parcel for expansion. The proposed expansion includes 3.02 acres and will be served connecting the drive onto existing streets within the community. Due to the concerns from neighborhoods to the north of this parcel, the applicant agreed to amend the legal description of the request to exclude the former railroad right-of-way along the northern part of the parcel. The area to be excluded is between 140 to 200 feet, and is shown in the attached exhibit. The Planning Commission, this will serve as a buffer between the mobile home community and the single family homes. The buffer has a significant berm to it, which also adds as a buffer. But the Planning Commission recommended approval, and of course, action is at the discretion of the council, and I'll be glad to answer any questions.
This is a public hearing. Does anyone have any comment from the audience on this particular item?
Billy, correct me if I'm wrong, but there was some drainage concerns out in that area previously. Is that correct?
Yes, there were. And we did have some people show up, a person, and we've had some phone calls, and staff has had a number of conversations concerning that drainage. Thank you for putting that slide up. Obviously, the application is the area that's hatched, and you can see to the north and the northeast where those drainage areas are. There was a person, there was actually two people that were just on the other side of the berm, and again, it's a significant berm, that where the water has been rerouted from Turtlewood down south and along that railroad channel to the north side of this property of the berm. Anyway, it goes into through the backyards of this area, and it's my understanding with talking to Public Works that that they have met with the applicant, and there's a plan to try to mitigate that in some way in the future to help out those people that are affected by that.
Okay, so the plan, is it on us or is it on the developer or the property owner to fix it?
Yeah, it's not on the developer in this case. You know, the berm separates the applicant and this neighborhood, and until you go out and see it, it's a pretty significant berm. But it goes along northwest of that berm on the applicant's property, and then goes under the trestle or the culvert, large culvert trestle area into the neighborhood, and adds to that. But it's really the drainage situation is really from Turtlewood and from, if you'll remember, Bo Peeler's property, where we rerouted the water around Bo Peeler's property, I don't know, a couple of years ago.
So is that going to be on us?
It is, well, fixing that problem is, but not on this application, no, sir.
Okay, so how are they going to fix the drainage problem there? Do you know?
Patrick, you got any solutions on that, or Paul?
Mayor, Council, I can speak to the property. We've had quite a few dealings with the property owners on the north side of this, the old berm, the old railroad corridor. I haven't had any discussions as far as the design on the south side of this. I think, though, with any good engineering plan, they can do the detention, they can do restrictions on their water flow, and actually create a positive development situation by restricting water on the south side of that before it gets into the north side, into the neighborhood. So I haven't seen any design on that yet, though.
I'm sorry, I think the question was about on the north side of resolving that issue with Bo Peeler's property and how the water was rerouted on that.
Yeah, and that's what I was speaking to also, is that we've talked with the property owners on the north side of the trestle. We have met on site with them. We're looking at different options on what we can do to help with the situation. Right now, it runs along as unimproved channel that parallels that berm on the north side, but we're looking through the CIP and some other things to see what we can do to help make sure that water doesn't have any negative impact on those property owners on the north side.
So if this is passed, between what you're dealing with on the people on the north side and whatever we pass on the south side with detention, stuff like, we're gonna keep people dry.
Well, they're really two separate drainage basins. I'm not real sure what the overall master plan is on the south side of this, where this area is. But with this amount of square footage and the unimproved land, I would think they'd have every opportunity to have a well thought out development that, would be a benefit to the region.
I think based on the issues that we've dealt with in the past, it would be imprudent for us to approve this until we see some kind of affirmative drainage plan going forward. Because if you look, just to the east of that is the cement plant. And then we've had a number of issues up in Turtlewood, which all of you are aware of. And he's going to pour 18 pads.
He's here, Mayor, I think. He's got a diagram in front of him, it looks like. Are you the
Okay,
applicant?
well, are you the applicant?
I am the applicant, yes.
He's got a diagram,
Well,
so.
present your case, Mr. Applicant. State your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Mark Zitzow with Johnson & Associates. We are the applicant on behalf of the owner. My address is 1 East Sheridan, Suite 200, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. So I think Billy did a great job, and I'll compliment your staff in working with us through this process. Right before we got to Planning Commission, after public notice had gone out, we received 2 phone calls from 2 neighbors immediately to the north. So our original application, at the direction of staff, was that we had to include the entirety of the property. At this moment, we are only proposing an expansion on the southeast corner of the property. So the remaining north portion is to be undeveloped until a time that the developer decides to move forward with a plan. So the initial application included this old railroad right-of-way and this finger that goes off to the east. After the neighbors reached out to us, they explained that there's, I believe he said, a 30-foot berm. And if you can kind of imagine a channel, the berm, the old railroad, is in the middle of it, and it was probably not a drainage channel at the time, but a sound buffer to anything on the other sides of the railroad. So after we met with these neighbors, there was concerns. We removed that property from our zoning application so that if in the event the developer did decide to develop something on the north, it would not affect what they are now considering the drainage channel. The side benefit to that was they would also have this upwards of 200-foot buffer from the single family to the north. So if at the time the developer decides to come back with a plan for any hard surface improvements on the north, we'd have to work with staff to make sure that there's no negative effects on the drainage basin. But as mentioned, the majority of our site is actually in a different drainage basin than the one that the neighbors seem to.
So what you're saying that we're only adding 18 lots to the southeast corner of that current mobile home park. Is that correct? And we're not moving any further north than what's existing?
So the proposal at this time is only for the additional 18 units, but by approving the zoning, the developer has the right to develop the rest of the property. Currently, it's zoned for high density. So in its current state, the developer could remove all of the mobile homes, and I don't recall the density cap, but I want to say it was 400 or 500 units that could be put on this site today. So in the end, we're actually reducing the density from what is permitted today.
Does anyone have any other further questions? Thanks for being here, by the way, and you clarified several issues.
And so, Billy, all of our drainage issues, what you're saying right now, on that north side that's running into over there where Alicia Drive is and everything, is coming from the Turtlewood addition, is that correct?
Yes, I think that's fair to say. Yes, sir.
So we're not having issues from the mobile home park, the drainage runoff, any runoff there that there's a concern about?
So the drainage from the mobile home park goes under the trestle, and it combines with and meets with that unimproved channel, and then goes into the neighborhood. And so it doesn't help, to answer your question, that it doesn't affect the one gentleman that was making a complaint about the drainage.
Billy, when they come back to develop the north side of this, they're gonna have to come back with the drainage plan, right?
Well, it's one lot, and what I was gonna say was that if the council is uncomfortable with moving forward with rezoning the whole parcel, we could amend, if a motion is made, amend it to reduce the amount to the existing mobile park and the addition of the 18 lots. And that way, in the future, if they wanted to expand, they would have to come back for more rezoning.
Would the applicant be comfortable with that?
Our preference, only because of timing and costs associated with rezoning applications, would be to move forward with the entire tract as proposed currently, particularly given that the north end is already zoned for high-density residential. We have to come back through for building permits and work with staff to make sure that we're meeting all of the city regulations at that time. So we think through the regular city building permit process, you all have assurances that we can't go through and pave everything and create a drainage situation to the north that's negatively impacting those neighbors.
Okay.
Is that accurate, Billy?
I do not know off the top of my head because we do not deal with mobile home parks and the expansion of them. So I'm not sure that the regular development process would just, as far as a building permit process, would necessarily take care of all those concerns. I can't answer that question.
What about Kelly? Kelly's standing up already before I even speak.
We do require permits for new mobile homes, so if a permit were to come in for a new mobile home, they would have to come through our office for electric connections and sewer connections. I will say that the fire marshal also said that he would have additional requirements if they went any further to the north due to water lines and the possibility of the need of a new fire hydrant as well.
So if we started seeing permits coming through your office, it would send up a red flag, and
Correct.
it would slow the process down to make sure that we had adequate drainage and fire protection and everything else, correct?
And that the interior roads were built to standard as far as the width for the fire apparatuses.
But drainage would be a part of that if they're gonna have to, as Patrick explained,
So,
for retainage.
And Kelly's right that when somebody came in, if they wanted to expand to the north beyond their 18 deals, if they wanted to do it one deal at a time, they could come in and do that. But I'm not sure how the development of the whole north end.
Is there
would
any
take care of-
PUD or SPUD requirements for that particular type of expansion of a mobile home park?
I'm just not sure how they'd be triggered on that. I just don't know,
So-
because if they did, the question is, if they come in for one at a time, I don't know that would be triggered. I just, to take care of everybody's concerns on that, and that's kind of why I'm in favor of the,
so
Kelly,
given,
are there PUD requirements?
Well, they're not requesting a PUD, just a
Right.
straight mobile home park zoning district. I will say that there are requirements for density with a mobile home park. You can have a certain number of mobile homes per acre. As we've had some other mobile home parks expand, like the one off of 23rd Street, we've done an inventory of what they have, the number of mobile homes that they have, and, how many that and we've kept a spreadsheet for that one because it has recently expanded, stating the number that they have and the number they're allowed.
but
So-
that was also pre-platted and pre-designed to meet certain requirements where this one is not.
okay, if I can get a motion out on this, I would like to move that we approve just the 18 units. I understand your request, but my motion is that we approve the 18 units We know where that's at now, and that eliminates the concern of if what may be in the future, because that will definitely come back to us in the future then, if additional mobile home units are going to be proposed on that northern section. And that also gives some additional time in order to address the drainage concerns that are coming from the Turtle.
Turtlewood.
Thank you. I forgot the end of it. Turtle Ridge, Turtlewood neighborhood. And so that would give us some time to make sure that drainage is being adequately dealt with. So that's my motion, with the conditions that are reflected in the staff's report.
And if we can include the existing mobile home park into that, because it's non-conforming, it would have to be brought up to conformance.
Yes, ma'am.
So we do have a motion. You understand the motion, Ms. City Clerk? Okay. We do have a motion. Any
Second.
further discussion or questions?
I just second.
Okay, I've got a motion and a second. You need to speak up. I'm deaf. Yeah, yes, sir, I'm sorry.
Sorry, I understand there's a motion on the floor. I think the request I just confirmed with the developer, what they'd be willing to commit to, which would be in the minutes for the time that building permits came through, is that anything on the north, the first unit that they sought to put in, would have to be accompanied by a master plan as well as a drainage plan that would be reviewed by engineering.
I'd have to defer to Ms. Eads to see if she would amend her motion. Well, go ahead, I'm sorry.
So what we were proposing is keeping the tract contiguous as proposed. In addition to building permits and everything else, we are proposing that the first unit on the north end of the property to come in for a permit would have to be accompanied by a master plan showing fire circulation, total number of units, as well as the drainage plan showing that there are no negative impacts on anyone north or abutting the property that engineering would then be able to review. So to clear up the unknowns, we are putting it on ourselves to say that we will submit the engineered plans required to prove that there were no negative impacts caused by the northern portion of the development.
Can we require them to do that, Evan?
I'm kind of looking at Mr. Harless because if you have an exception to your normal process to that extent, how are you gonna, I guess I should maybe be looking at Kelly, how are you gonna track that?
Well, when they come in for a permit to expand north, is when it would be flagged, and we would have it in the system, and as we pointed out, if the motion's made in the minutes, then we would be able to enforce that.
Isn't a lot of what he's proposing what they would have to do to develop that anyway?
Well, they would, and kind of how we got here was what would the requirements be, and we've not done one of these that hasn't been pre-platted before or pre-done. This is just one big lot, so I can't answer what the exact process is, but I think what he's proposing covers my concerns, if it makes everyone else comfortable.
Kelly? You agree, or?
I guess what I'm asking is basically what you're proposing is that you would go ahead and get your 18 units approved, and you would say, you would come in, you'd provide the platting, you'd provide the information on the drainage, everything with the first northern lot that you wanted to develop. And I guess my question for Mr. Harless and the Community Development Department is, isn't that what the process to develop would be, short of paying the fees?
Well, I think what I'm attempting to clarify is to give reassurances to council that we will be providing everything, including the drainage for the site, which maybe what it sounds like, because it's one lot, would not actually be required. It would be building permits. So what we're proposing, anything that happens on the north end, we will come in at one time with the master plan, with the drainage study, so that staff can review everything before they approve anything. And if there were red flags or any concerns by your engineering department, we would have to address those prior to any new unit being built on the north side.
But you want us to go ahead and do the approval for the full tract then with that caveat is what you're asking for?
Correct.
So I'm looking at you, Councilman Favors, because this is your ward. So that would mean we're not just approving the 18 that was in my original motion, but it would be the full tract area of request with the understanding that they'll go ahead with the 18 now, and then once they do the first lot to the north, they're going to come in with a master plan with regard to all of those issues that would happen from the very first lot that's proposed, so that we know what's going to happen with the remainder of the area to the north then. Are you comfortable with that?
I'm comfortable with that as long as we're good with it.
I guess that's kind of my question is, could they even come in with a proposal to just develop one lot, or would they have to do a master?
But he's offering to do a master plan.
Yeah, and that's what why I like the direction this is going, in the sense that they wouldn't be able to come in and just do, well, here's another addition to it. He would develop a master plan, and staff would be able to review it for the drainage and everything, whereas we wouldn't necessarily get to be able to do that before. I just don't know what would trigger that, as if we weren't getting a master plan, so.
How will we know, though?
Well,
How will they know that when that starts, in case you're not here, somebody else is not here?
Yeah.
How's that put in there?
So we have a computer, in the computer system, all these things, these staff reports and stuff are tied to an address. And so all the documentation from this meeting will be tied to that. And so when somebody comes in, they'll pull up that address file, and they'll see that this has been flagged for to site development plan for the northern part. How will that be laid out? That the drainage will need to be taken care of, and all those issues, because there's additional things out there. There's a septic pond out there that needs to be dealt with also, and things. So that's why I'm in favor of looking at this.
Okay, I assume we do have an amended motion.
I'm just waiting for clarification from all of those that are conferring if it's on this issue, if there's something.
Mr. Harless,
Regardless is comfortable, so.
do you know what the fees would be that we're waiving to allow them to simply come in and provide the master plat without refiling?
Well, I don't know that we'd be waiving any fees. Is what we'd be doing would be getting extra engineering and review process that we may not be getting before.
Do we want to take a 5-minute recess?
We stand recessed for 5 minutes.
I apologize. I got so sensitive and got choked. I called you Bowman, and I'm like, oh, apologize. Yeah. But, listen, as for now.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Remember, it's no action, so if we want to change anything, forget the furniture. Get the furniture. Hi.
Come back.
Well, but I think people will.
I think we're almost there.
Time
to eat?
Mm-hmm. Ooh, that lemon cake is good.
Mr. Mayor, after further consideration, I'm going to withdraw my motion at this time and ask that we take no action on this item at this time.
And is there a date that we would prefer to bring this back is the next question that the applicant has asked the staff as well?
So the preference is to take no action currently?
Yes.
All right, we'll move
Been
forward.
no action at this time.
Thank you.
We'll have Billy and other staff members work with him and bring him back whenever they're ready.
Yeah. And I
Okay,
think
that item's take no action. Move into the next item.
PC 2064, public hearing with discussion and consideration of approval of an ordinance redistricting from planned unit development PUD to amended PUD for the property described as northwest quarter of section 15, township 11 north, range 2 west, located at 7200 southeast 29th Street. Mr. Hawes.
Thanks, Mr. Lyon. This application is the Bicentennial Park where the Welcome Center is at. This is a request to amend the existing PUD to allow an additional monument sign as well as an interactive plaza featuring selfie station. The property is owned by the city of Midwest City. However, the state recently took over the operation of the Oklahoma Visitor Center. Staff was approached in October about adding an additional monument sign as well as a plaza in Bicentennial Park. The original PUD and staff report was specific about the signage that was to be allowed on the area of request and did not allow for any additional signage. And just a little brief history of the additional signage that we're talking about is the chamber sign, the informational sign. Is an off-premise sign that is down there that advertises community events and things that was amended before. There was a question about whether that was the sign that was being heard or whether there was an additional sign similar to that one. It is not. These are the two signs that are in the parking lot, and both of them could be considered selfie stations or selfie signs. One of them's a 14-foot high, Oklahoma-shaped sign, so you think you get out of the car and hey, we're in Oklahoma at the visitor center, and then the other one is shows a plane or a spacesuit where you get behind it and take a picture or a selfie saying, hey, we're in Oklahoma. Our ordinances do not really address this new phenomenon of selfie stations, even though I'm kind of a fan of them. But we have been asked to look at how we can amend the ordinances to.
So this is just going to enhance the revised Welcome Center.
I think so. I think it's and also if you look at the drawings, I think they're kind of clever and kind of cute. So I'm kind of excited about them.
So is the state going to run that? Is that the
Yes.
plan? Okay, because the sign on the interstate said it's closed. I'm wondering if it was going to.
It's due to reopen the 15th of February. Does anybody have any questions, Mr. Harless? Chair would entertain a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Second?
Motion and a second. All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention, motion carries.
He doesn't probably need to want to speak now that it's approved.
Yeah, I didn't.
Does the applicant wish to speak? Good move. Okay.
Sorry, we just
Yeah,
overlooked you.
Mayor did.
I ain't going down there. Okay, next item, Mr. Lyons.
Discussion of the conceptual design of Mid-America Park in 2018 general obligation bond project. Mr. Bundy.
Thank you, Mr. Line, Mayor, Council. Tonight, we have with us our landscape architect, design consultant for the Mid-America Park, which was a 2018 general obligation bond fund. And this is just the conceptual phase. It has gone before the park board, and they approved it with recommendation to move forward. There's no action
but they had positive comments. After our landscape architect presents this park to you, he will go forward with construction plans after this. With that, I'll introduce, this is Robert Shears with R.L. Shears, and he's been designing this park for quite some time here.
All right, thank you. Like Mr. Bundy said, I'm Robert Shears. I'm president of the R.L. Shears Company, and we've put together and designed the conceptual design for Mid-America Park. So there are three major parts of the improvements. The primary improvements are going to take place off of Midwest Boulevard between the existing Mid-America Park and Midwest Boulevard. It'll include a main entrance off of Midwest Boulevard and also a future secondary entrance, and include parking, a picnic shelter, a playground. Trying to get our picture up of this one, Jill. Get that drawing.
It was actually kind of my fault. It wasn't in the presentation. If we get her a second, she'll probably be able to find it.
One question. What in the world is a disc golf putting green?
I'm sorry.
What, a disc golf putting green?
So a disc golf putting green is a practice area where they would have the actual hole, I guess, that you throw the disc at. And so it's just a very short disc golf hole, I guess you would say, so you could practice from different angles. So we do have the backup. I'm glad we brought the boards, but
So the disc golf putting green was also part of this. Is the playground is going to be an accessible playground, and not just by, hey, let's put a ramp or let's do a little bit of things just to make ADA. This is going to be, the whole playground is ADA. And so that also ties in with the disc golf course. The putting green will be an opportunity for children, for ADA, hard surfaces, so they could participate in the disc golf.
I want to ask a question. What type of entrance is there going to be on the east side of the park where the community is? Going straight down, I think that is Shady Brook, going straight down that.
Penny and
Where's
Campbell.
that?
Let me go through just the primary
Okay.
introduction here first, and then we're going to get to a more detailed plan
All right.
that'll show a little bit more information about that. So like I said, the main improvements are going to take place off of Midwest Boulevard. Will include a picnic shelter, an inclusive playground, restroom facility, and a spray pad. There's also a connection from that area, from that playground area, to the existing Mid-America Park. The secondary improvements are going to take place where you're asking closer to the neighborhood and would be connected to Penny Drive and Campbell. And that would be a much smaller area that we're considered a nature park that would include a small area of parking and then a playground and a small picnic shelter in that area. The area in between those two improvements, the wooded area and the lower area, the floodplain area, will be a disc golf course that's being designed by a professional disc golf designer from the state of Kentucky. And so with that, let's go to the next slide here. This is a blow-up area of the main improvements I talked about. Midwest Boulevard is down here. You have a main entrance into the park area, a shelter located in this area for a picnic area that could be available for renting for birthday parties and that type of thing. The inclusive playground that Mr. Bundy was speaking about is this area right here, and is really the feature part of the park. There aren't very many of these in the state of Oklahoma right now, and so it's a park that's designed for individuals with all abilities, not just for an isolated area of the playground that would be for someone with an individual, but the entire playground is designed that way. In this location, you see the restroom facility behind the shelter, and then a spray pad located in that location. And then you see there's a trail connection up to the existing Mid-America Park. This is the enlarged area of the nature park that we talked about. You have the two residential drives that come in to this area, to a parking area, small parking area, and then play areas that are for different age groups, younger ages maybe on this side and a little bit older on this side, and then a shelter in the center. Yeah, and the last three are just renderings of what the park is going to look like, or very possibly look like. This is an actual rendering of the picnic shelter at the main entrance of the park. It's a little bit different than what's on your screen right now. And then another rendering of the spray pad area.
Is that a pavilion, a large pavilion area, you know, for tables? Is that what that was?
There is a pavilion, yes, a
Okay.
pavilion with
Okay.
picnic tables, yes. And this is a rendering of the smaller area, the nature
Mhm.
park, closer to the neighborhoods.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question, sir. Sorry. Is there any space with the Mid-America Park that's designed for pets? Like, do we have anything that's sectioned off for pets, or is it just?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Do we have any area in Mid-America Park that's sectioned off for pets, like to have a little mini dog park area, or?
Not
Nothing.
in this plan, we do not. The areas in between, the areas of improvements are going to be used for the disc golf course. There'll be a lot of clearing that's going to take place in the wooded area there. And so no pets, no dog park in this area.
Is the spray pad, is it ADA accessible?
Yes, it would be.
Does anyone have any questions of the gentleman? Thank you for
Thank
the
you.
presentation. It really looks great. We're
Mhm.
looking forward to get this thing out of the ground.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank
And
you.
Disc golf thing is going to be a huge
I think it
addition
will.
to our city.
All right, thank you.
No actions needed on that particular item. Move into the next item.
Discussion and consideration of rejecting the bids received from Cimarron Construction and Cooley Construction for the construction and installation of the new I-40 and Hudaburg Drive guardrails and safety wall improvements. Patrick?
Yes, Mayor, Council, we opened bids for this project last Tuesday. The two bidders were both over the engineer's estimate. With your permission, I'd like to go back to the consultant engineer, work with them on a redesign, look at our funding sources, and re-advertise this in the coming months and present it back to you later this year.
Is there any TICP funding that we could go after?
Not for this particular item, no, sir.
Okay, thank you. Chair to entertain a motion to approve the request.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention, motion carries. Next item, Mr.
Thank you.
Lyon.
Item number 9 needs no action.
No action on number 9. Ladies and gentlemen, move into the public discussion, new business public discussion of our agenda. Does anyone have anything to bring before council? Council members, there are further information packets attached to your packet, and I refer you to them. Hearing no other business, we are hereby adjourned. I call to order the Midwest City Municipal Authority. We have a consent agenda attached to this. These items are placed on the consent agenda so the trustees, by unanimous consent, can approve routine agenda items by one motion. If any item proposed does not meet with the approval of all the trustees or members of the audience wish to discuss an item, it will be removed and heard in regular order. Chair to entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention, motion carries. We move into our new business public discussion. Does anybody have anything to bring before the authority? Hearing none, we are hereby adjourned. I call to order the Midwest City Memorial Hospital Authority. We have two discussion items, Mr. Agenda.
Thanks, Mayor.
Mr. Lyon, go ahead.
Discussion and consideration to approve the minutes of the December 8th, 2020 meeting as submitted.
Have a motion and a second. Discussion. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention, motion carries. Next item.
Next item needs no action, but we have at our regular meetings with Mr. Garrels to review the fund allocation guidelines, and we have no changes at this time. No, we will move quickly if we need to move quickly on this item.
I have a question, just out of curiosity. Do we have to approve the minutes from our special meeting that was joint with the Board of Grantors, or no? Or is there no minutes from that meeting since?
Be on the next meeting.
When we have another meeting for that particular authority?
We now move into the new business public discussion of our agenda. Does anyone have anything to bring before the authority? Hearing or seeing none, the executive session is no longer necessary, and we are hereby adjourned. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your time and attention. Have a good evening.